some reason, I was prompted to revisit Plato's Allegory of the Caves today. I guess it's because I often wonder about the perception versus reality. I can't speak for anybody else, but myself, I remember in our Certified Public Manager program, we used to talk about the idea that we have filters in our brain, that we everything that we perceive, we see, goes through those filters, and it's those filters that give it meaning. And it isn't necessarily exactly what the object is, it's what we, in our perception, believe it is. Now that probably sounds confusing, but for me it makes a lot of sense. Because two people can look at the same thing and have entirely different reactions. We are constantly filtering reality out there through this whole process that we have of giving things meaning in our mind. So, what does all this have to do with our spiritual journey, you might ask? Well, what I believe is that our spiritual being, our spiritual selves, that part of us that's linked in some way to some higher power, some higher good, is constantly looking for and seeking out that goodness, that power in our lives. We don't just wander aimlessly through life, I don't think. We are directed to or motivated by a desire, a need to know and seek higher understanding, greater insight into what life is all about. And so when I think about the allegory of the caves and the fact that we deal with images, I see that I have to be even more aware that I do not have all the answers. My perception is not necessarily what is real. It's my perception of what is real, but it's not necessarily real. Other people have their own perceptions, their own abilities to look and see and to react. And so a long time ago I wrote and I did a blog on terminal certainty, about, we're absolutely convinced that this was the only way. And I guess this just reinforces it for me. We all, as Plato said, we're all sort of prisoners in a cave, chained in a cave and sitting there looking at the cave walls. And what we see are the images of reality cast against those walls, but we don't see the actual images themselves. What we see is what we perceive to be reality. So when I think about that, when I look at that and really look at myself and look at my own spiritual journey, I am struck by the fact that I cannot ever judge anyone else. I cannot say this is what you should do, this is the way you should be. I have to just understand that as one of those prisoners chained in that cave, I have viewed these images cast on the wall with my own perception, my own filters, and not judge anybody else's. The other point that Plato makes is that if you are freed from those chains and leave the cave and are able to see the actual objects themselves, and you come back and you tell the others, this is reality, these are the real things here, they won't accept that. because they know and they understand, they know and see the reality that they understand, which are those images on the wall of the caves. So I have to always understand that some of the things that I say are not going to be accepted by some people. That's just the way it is. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm really not. I'm saying that, they have their perceptions, and they're certainly entitled to them. But to the extent to which I begin to get a small glimpse through some direction or some power that God seems to have given me, I can try to communicate that to people. Some will accept it, some will not. Is it right? I don't know. I've mentioned that so many times. I am not a biblical scholar. I am not some spiritual guru. I'm just a person who takes time and quiet time and meditation to reflect on life and to reflect on who I am. And that's all I am. So if this is useful to you, that I'm glad for that. But what I must urge you to do is to seek your own way out of the cave, to take those chains off and to try to move from just looking at images on a wall, what you think is reality, and try to be clear and understand and move into the light. I'm always struck so many times about how God is referred to. God is light. We hear that over and over and over. I am the light of the world, Jesus said. Move into the light. And I think that's what Plato is saying to us. That's what the Republic is about. It is about moving into the light and seeing the world clearly and understanding it clearly and accepting it clearly. So that's, I don't know why I was prompted to look up Allegory of the Caves. One of my favorite things is Plato saying, that Plato or Socrates, I can't remember which one, said that, what you see there is a chair. Well, what you think it is a chair. That's your perception of a chair. Do you know that it's really a chair? What is a chair? And so, that's the whole thing. We have our perceptions, we have our filters, and to me, the important thing is just be aware of them, and don't try to judge other people for having their filters. Be open, accepting, and be loving, because that's what God is all about. God's all about love. And I love you, and thanks so much for listening. Talk to you later. Bye.